Somebody want to help me tackle this mystery? Like, we're already in April. We've already been getting spring weather most of March, but somehow someone decided that we gotta get a little bit of snow and it's gotta be minus whatever weather. It's not the worst weather I've seen before, but it still begs the question. Is this a April Fool's joke? Seriously, snow falling on April 1st. You can't make this stuff up. And I guess I'm kind of fishing for complaining or whatsoever. Ah well. It doesn't stop me from enjoying this Easter long weekend, and it gave me another opportunity to share another edition of the Wander Yuki Cheese Cafe. More grilling, more brews, and hopefully plenty of bad jokes. Yep. If you're liking what you see here, you can hit that subscribe button below, because it helps promote the video a little down the road, and it shows people that they care, and it shows me that you care about my stuff. So before I get to our topic of the day, I am going to give you a full disclosure. I don't feel like putting my shoes on, so I'm wearing socks with sandals right now. I'm doing this because it's convenient. The socks to be able to protect my feet out here, and the sandals because they go on pretty easily. I'm sure that someone's going to complain to me, no, you shouldn't be doing socks with sandals. Had this been on Tinder, it'd be like, if you wear socks with sandals, swipe left. You get another dumbass dating thing, like somehow that's a deal breaker. I swear, people are really crazy these days. Anyways, what am I going to be grilling today? Well, the theme of the episode is one I've wanted to do for a little while since I started this channel, and it's a beer can chicken. This was introduced to me to a friend a while back, who I believe is probably watching this as we speak. And while I have highlighted this last year a few times with a few quick videos, I thought, let's go step by step to say and show you how we do this from start to finish. Make sure you have your right spices, make sure you have the right kind of beer to use for that, and make sure you have the right tools to hold the chicken into the beer, because that's going to be key to help you out. So, why don't we get started right now? The first thing we're going to do right now is put our dry rub all together. If you know a thing or two about your barbecuing, you know that if you're going to be doing any kind of meat grilling on here, make sure that you try to use a dry rub as much as possible, or exactly where needed. I know I've done some things that are marinated, some things that are oiled up, but in the case of chicken, if you're going to be oiling it all up, it's going to take a little while to cook, and that means that the grease on it is going to make it burn a lot more. So you don't want a very burnt skin at this time. You just want to have it kind of seared because of all the seasoning. Now that I have that all the way, the dry rub is going to be the first thing I do. So first I'm going to do the most basic parts of this. Half a teaspoon of salt, along with a 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. You could probably use white pepper or pink pepper if you wanted to also, because I have seen that available at the store. I just never thought of putting it to use whatsoever. There we are. So those are going to be out of the way. So in terms of your other ingredients you're going to be using, in theory it should all be basic stuff that you have in your kitchen already. You're going to need some paprika, dry mustard, chili powder. That's going to give you the flavor. Yeah, so let's get our chili powder out here. This you're going to need like maybe a good 2 tablespoons, I believe. Here, let me check my cheat sheet here. Cheat phone, because you can't have a sheet on a phone if I don't. Yeah, I'm just going to stop there before I get into cheese territory again. Got to say that for later on. Okay, how am I doing? That's 1 tablespoon. Now let's do our second one. Wow, I'm actually realizing I'm getting to the end of my chili powder. Sounds like I'm going to need to get a refill sometime in the future. Or in the not too distant future. Well, I kind of overdid that powder. Oh, well, at least I know I got chili on here. Plenty of chili. I'm all chilied up. Next, you're going to need some paprika. And that is going to be around, how much? 2 tablespoons as well. Fantastic. Good news here, I think I have enough to get this all covered. Alright. So it ran off a little bit, so that's like at least a tablespoon. That means if I go a little short on this one, then it's not going to matter, because I got more than enough. Voila. That part is done. Next, you're going to need 2 teaspoons of dry mustard. This stuff I don't actually use as often. I feel like it's only for chicken when I do a dry rub, or if I'm putting together a barbecue sauce or pulled pork. There we are. But then, you know, it sometimes comes in handy. Eventually I should find some other recipes for this. Now, if you're gonna take a look at this, here's what it's looking like. Layer of mustard with a whole lot of red in there. But you're gonna be missing one key ingredient to hold it all together and give it a bit of sweetening. Namely some brown sugar. You are gonna need 1/3 of a cup. Okay, I seem to have had moisture get into here in the past. So that tells me that this thing isn't sealing properly, or I'm due for a refilling on this down the road. If you're baking with brown sugar or light brown sugar, then you know you would have to pack it down a bit. In this case, I don't really care. Well, for two reasons. One, this is just going to be a dry rub for chicken. And two, well, they're all in chunks, so I really have no choice. So I'll just get this in here, try to seal this up. And then I'm going to just take a spoon, try to mix it all together. And I say try because with the amount of cubes that are kind of hardened up, I may need to get some serious action to get it all broken and blended. Okay. Ugh. Well, I still have to break up some chunks, but just to give you an idea, here's your color. It's a very orange, red, yellow, well, obviously because that's the color of all the seasonings. But when you look at the color of this, beautiful, and it almost makes me think like, when I smelled this the first time I made this and mixed all together, I thought, wait, this is just like barbecue seasoning. So I kind of figured out a mystery. If you want to make your own barbecue seasoning, you already got these basic ingredients at home. Totally awesome. I got some salt peeking out. And people screaming around. I guess people want to play outdoors. Alright. I'm going to try to work on this to break down the sugar, and then we'll be right back to get to the next step. Then we are going to prepare our bird. Alright. I've broken down the sugar as much as I can in this thing. I still got some clumps, but you know what? This is as good as it's going to get. It'll cook all together. But now, once the brown sugar is all blended in, here is your color. I'm telling you, this is truly barbecue seasoning. This really makes me think of it. So your next step is to prepare your chicken. You're going to need about a good 3-pound bird, if you can find that somewhere in the store. So this size will get the job done. And in case you haven't done this before, you would think, how exactly do I set this up on a beer can? Well, that's the beauty of it, because this thing is actually pretty popular to do. You can go anywhere, like you can go to the dollar store, any hardware store, and you're going to find these kind of apparatuses here. You got around the rim, this is where you would put your beer can, and then put the chicken on top, and then this could go directly onto your grill. There's some fancier ones too that they're foldable, that they're easy to store. Some of them have these attached to a bowl on the bottom where you can put potatoes, vegetables, and grill them all together. I have a standard issue one. Because this is definitely going to be making a mess, I have an aluminum pan that I'm going to put this to use with. So, as terms of the beer you're going to be using too, here's a suggestion I can give you in case you also want a recap of one kind of beer I've highlighted in the past. Top right corner. If you're going to be cooking with a lot of beers, most of them, once they're cooking and evaporating, you're going to lose a little bit of the flavor that's in there too. But suppose you use an amber, which is made out of caramelized malts as opposed to blonde malts. That one will definitely get the job done, because when it cooks, you're actually still going to get a good flavor. But if you want to go a step further with the ambers, then you could go with what I got. I got a pint of Braça du Monde Le Trincard. This one is a Scotch ale. So these are going to be a bit more of a stronger amber, and it's a 9%er. And just to give you full disclosure, you're not going to need the full can for cooking. You only need to have about half a can full for the moisture in here. So then what do you do with the rest of it? Well, for the other half, you don't let it go to waste. You take a little bit and then pour it into a pint glass. That way you get to have a bit of a taste while you're preparing this. It's like people like to drink a glass of wine while they're cooking in the kitchen. I guess it kind of, I don't know, it's fun and makes it feel classy. This one's definitely yeah, 9% beers, you smell them because they are kind of robust. So put this in here. I think I could spare a little bit more. There. Now I have enough to cook it. So, this one is now in the dispenser. And it's time to get the chicken on it and then to prepare the rest. I think I brought some gloves here. Because this is going to get a bit messy. So once your gloves are in, this is where you go open up your pack of chicken and then place it on. I've actually seen a couple of recipes that, well, this is kind of a weird aspect for me. Some of them will say that what you should do first is rinse the chicken in cold water, pat it down dry, and then you put it on the beer can. And honestly, because of how I was raised, or maybe just my own thought process, but this goes against every instinct that I have. Because rinsing a chicken, I don't know what the purpose of that is. Like, I don't know if you're washing off any germs in there, or just to help it stick a bit. But personally, I'm thinking, I'm putting this in the sink, or over the sink, and then I'm rinsing it. I'm probably going to have droplets of water go onto that, mixed in with the salmonella germs that are on the chicken, obviously. And it's going to splash all around the countertop. Really? That can't be healthy. That's my sidetrack of the moment. Let's get to the big part. Open up the chicken. Make sure there's no giblets and no neck. That way you can pull it out. Oh. Well, that neck's there, but it's still going to get the job done. So next thing you do is... Oh, before I do that. Hey, buddy, do I have your permission? Thank you.
Like a virgin, hey, touched for the very first time.
There. I know what you're thinking. Why would I need to ask permission? Well, if you look at how I'm putting it in, it's pretty clear that you're essentially just shoving a beer can up the chicken's butt. That's kind of sensitive territory. You gotta ask permission. Make sure that's okay with it. Make sure you're not violating it. Because I mean, if you do that without asking, then, brother, you're such an insensitive asshole. Now that that's on, I am going to get the seasoning on. But first, actually, what you could do is take about a teaspoon of this and then put it inside, into the cavity on top where the neck is. What that will probably do is it'll let the beer foam just a little bit. Oops. But I have another idea. First step is to get some fuel in me. Second step is to get that out of the way so I don't accidentally contaminate this. So now what you gotta do is you just have to take your seasoning and then pat it all along the chicken. You're gonna have a nice light layer of coating on this. It'll look really pretty in the end, and you're probably gonna want to eat it right away. Of course you would want to do that though. It's a raw chicken. You don't have to worry about stitching on this. Be as generous as possible. Now look at this. The bottom over here, and now the top. It's gotten really red. It's bonded with the skin really well. You are gonna love this, people. Probably got to clean up here too. Of course, I'll just sweep that up. And if you get any extra seasoning that gets on to the aluminum plate, just pull it up. Try to recycle as much as you can. There. And then you just keep at it until the whole chicken is covered lightly with this and generously. Now I'm going to keep this up. Now that is one sexy bird. So now that this thing is all seasoned up, you can keep that aside, and then you can get your fire going. Of course, first thing I should probably do is, I made a bit of a mess right now. I should probably clean up this thing. Ah, well. It is what it is. Charcoal from the last session has been cleared up. I got a new layer over here. We're about to get started. So, just to give you a heads up, one thing you don't want to do is have what's called direct heat on this. That means putting your meat directly over the source of the charcoal over here, because this thing is going to cook quickly, it's going to dry out. You want to try to keep this moist. So there's a few options you're going to have out there. What I'm going to be doing with mine, which is option 1, is I'm going to light this up, let it burn, and then once it gets to the right temperature, I'm going to spread out my charcoal so that it makes a circular shape around the perimeter of the grill. That way the heat's going to go up over here, but it's not going to come up from directly underneath the bird. If you wanted to avoid that, you could get the ceramic plate that could go right on top, just underneath the grill. That's what's called heat deflector, so that it makes you do indirect cooking with that heat. The heat is going to be going up on the sides, but not underneath, and it's not going to transfer here. I suppose, well, since I don't have one of those, another option could be you may consider a pizza pan also, like the stone ones that are designed for a barbecue, because they could withstand up to like 600 degrees Fahrenheit. You could put that on it, then put this chicken on, and that might be able to do the trick too. Obviously from experience, this is a lot easier to do with a propane barbecue. Especially have one of those that you're able to adjust the temperature on each of the grills, like turn off on one side, turn on the other, and then vice versa. Because then you can cook one side of the chicken for a little bit of time, rotate it around, and it'll cook the other half of it. But all this to say that there's many methods of doing this. Just do what works best for you. Now I'm going to light this up, and hopefully I'm not going to struggle with the fire this time. That's been happening way too much for me for my liking. This better not be an omen of how my grilling season's going to be this year. Go, one's burning, next one. Okay, there is it went out. Yeah, this I'll admit is much easier if you're using lighter fuel, but I don't like to do it too much anymore. Lighter fuel is chemical that I don't like to dump into my grass, and it also seems like it's cheating. Like, yeah, I could create a fire, but just dump like gasoline on it and then it'll burn. Well, of course, you dump gasoline on any kind of fire, it's gonna set up. It's like saying, oh yeah, that King of the Hill episode, luckily I know how to build a bomb out of a roll of toilet paper and a stick of dynamite. Bloody idiot. Alright, come on. Yep. The struggle is real, people. Took a little effort. This fire is now starting to burn pretty well. Just going to let it burn for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to close this up so we can start preheating, and then eventually spread the charcoal around. Okay, if you like ambers, if you like things that taste like caramel, this one's pretty highly recommended, because you will like this one then. Just make sure you don't use and abuse this one, because at 9%, that's a deadly experiment. Deadly concoction, not deadly experiment. Deadly experiment is more Unibrew's Blonde de l'Enfer. That one's like a 10.5%er. That's definitely a one and done. They do say third time is a charm on this thing. Unlike the last 2 times I barbecued this week, I do have a good amount of ember coming up on this, so that means I'm going to get enough heat to get this all done. And while I'm waiting for the heat, I am out of my fuel right now, because obviously if I'm doing half a pint, it's to go a little bit quicker. So I'm doing something else here. My next one is going to be from Microbrasserie à la Fûte Saint-Cyth. Saint-Cyth? Don't think I've ever heard that one before. But I have had this one. This is IPA du... I can't make out this writing here. Basically, it's a Western New England IPA. That's got to be an oxymoron, because how can you be in the East and the West at the same time? Unless because of the hops that the cowboy had, it means you're going to get kind of Western feel, you're going to go all spaghetti Western, full-on Clint Eastwood when you drink this stuff. But it's a good one. Oh boy. I picked it up for the label, but I forgot it's a 7% fucker. Good God. Oh well, if I'm going to be going all strong, I might as well go all cheese, all everything. Over 350 degrees, so we're gonna get the grill on. Actually, before I do that, there. No, I'm not pulling out the pistol. I'm not Clint Eastwood. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spread around my charcoal so that, like I said, I have it all working around the perimeter of this. Get it all evenly distributed. And next, getting the grill in here so that I can preheat. There. Easy as pie. Especially apple pie. That's one of the basic pies out there. Everyone needs to know how to make that. So, let this preheat. I'm going to scrape off the grease. That should let the embers go, and then this bird's ready to fry. Still in the 300 range. I'm happy with that. Ready to get this grease all scraped up. And hopefully it starts to ignite a little bit more for me. Once again, I'm lucky I don't have to make direct contact with this grill, because then I don't have to worry about the grease coming off completely. This is just going to get it burning a little bit more. Okay, keep re-cooking this. And then just in case I need it, I decided that I was going to bring my old pizza pan out here. This is the one I was talking about. It's a bit burnt because, believe it or not, I used it last year to grill some breakfast on this bloody thing, because I'm crazy that way. But this could be like the heat deflector, so then I can put this on top. It'll have the heat rise from the sides onto here. The chicken's gonna cook, and I don't have to worry about it overcooking too much. Whether or not I have the space in here, well, I'm about to find that out. Alright. Not bad. The only thing I noticed is that I saw on the label, the way I placed it, it said contains lactose. And it's making me think, like, why would you put lactose in a beer? Like, milkshake IPAs or milkshake beers? It seems kind of crazy, but I can kind of understand. But did someone decide that there's a lack of nutrients in these beers, even though this is technically liquid cereal, so part of a balanced breakfast? They thought, you know what? Actually, I just realized. It's part of a balanced breakfast, but usually if you look at your cereal contents, they'll always give the nutritional information with and without milk. And sometimes, when you have it with milk, there's actually more nutrients to that. So maybe that's the idea they had done. Put lactose in here. It's like adding milk to cereal. Bam! Nutrition. Am I right? Well, this is as good as it's gonna get, I suppose. So, let's get this cooking, I guess. I'm going to try this out with the pizza pan, and if it doesn't work out, I'll just remove that. Put the aluminum pan right directly on and see if that is going to get the job done. Oh, backup glove. Yeah. Extra protection, double the layers. There we are. Let's give this a test. Heat this up. Get this in here. All right, and it's settled. So you're gonna need about a good hour and 15 minutes on 375 for this thing to be cooked properly. The way you're gonna know that is if you go to the thigh. No, don't go to the thigh on the bird. That's a bad joke I probably shouldn't even go towards. But here's the idea. The thigh is the thickest piece of meat on that bird. So you take a meat thermometer, stick it in there, and then make sure you have it at 180 degrees Fahrenheit. If it's at that temperature, you know you've done well. And if not, well, keep it on here for a little while longer. Yeah, it's going to be plenty of time until this is done. So we'll see what happens. I'll drink my beer. I am going to probably clean up. I try to disinfect everything around here as best as possible, but there's only so much I can do because I'm only human. But hey, it's a living. Oops. Almost lost my badass element. There. You see, there are two kinds of people in this world. Those with loaded guns, and those who dig. You dig. So not only is that grill maintaining at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm hoping that it gets a little bit higher, I have to admit, I'm kind of digging the poncho look while I'm grilling out here. Gotta do this more often, honestly. But yeah, it's already been a good 15 minutes or so. I'm gonna let this go cook a little bit longer, and then just enjoy my beer. And well, I realize that in another hour I wouldn't be able to go without eating. I need to have some stuff. Something else I'm really hooked on now are olives. Well, I've been hooked on that for the last 3 years. I'll admit, I enjoyed these when I was, like, before that. But what really sealed the deal was when I was in Spain back in 2018. Because you go around there, if you want to just have a drink on a terrace, they give you, like, some food for free just because. And they gave these a lot, because I really got to enjoy them. What I'm having are some Sicilian olives that are grown organically. So yeah, they're probably my favorite ones. And the key element to that is that they're lower sodium than some other brands I've had. So they're not going to be as salty. Of course, yeah, the pits are going to be thrown into the yard because, you know, they got to have some nutrients too. But yeah, lower salt content. Yeah, means they're a bit more tasty. And also really firm too, so super satisfying. Great if you want to have something to tide you over until your full meal is ready. And of course, breakfast. Well, it's been around the 45-minute mark. Let's see how we're doing. Oh, the top is really cooking quite well. And I'm getting a nice scent, so let's see. Ah, yeah. So it's sizzling on the pan. It looks like it's really cooking on the skin, but let's keep at it for another half an hour, possibly 45 minutes at best, so that it's all really well cooked. Like I said, it's especially the thigh. You want to make sure it's cooked well all the way through. Nice. It's such a heavenly smell. Oh, boy. I said I was going to be cooking this for an hour and 15 minutes. I want to say it's been an hour and a half. So let's grab a look. Okay, now this is a beautiful bird. Crispy on the outside, probably going to be tender on the inside. I'm pretty sure the thigh is cooked really well, but tell you what, I'm going to start removing this from the heat. I'm going to check the temperature, make sure it's not pink, make sure it's cooked well, and then we'll be right back for the taste test. Stick around, everyone. There we are. So just a recap. I did my amazing dry rub on the chicken. If you're supposed to cook it for an hour and a half, it was probably more like an hour and 30 minutes. It's looking really good, mostly cooked through. And let's give it a good taste test. So in case you're not sure if it's been done well or not, It should still be juicy and tender at the same time. I've had some chickens in the past that felt like it was like, this is kind of a rough texture. Which probably means I did it wrong. I'm gonna check the, yep, everything looks pretty fine. Ooh. This thing is so cooked well, juicy, it's almost like it's rotisserie chicken from like Saint Sebastian or Cook. Or I guess Benny's chicken. Not a bad comparison, I have to say. To accompany, I have some pasta. I've got a pickle over here. Homemade pickle, no less, so top right corner, because you'll be able to see the recipe for how to do that. Perfect every time. And I'm on a final ration over here. Just some Carling Black Label. Something to keep me back down to earth. Yeah. I'm eating kind of later than I expected because this took a little while. But hey, satisfactory. And a nice way to spend Good Friday. Kind of ironic, actually. I'm spending Good Friday eating meat. Somebody want to strike me down? Or if not, you know what? Maybe that's something I should avoid. So then, this will be the end of the take 2. Whatever the case, whatever you want to call it, let's just say this has been an Easter edition of the Wanryuki Cheese Cafe. So thanks for watching, everyone. If you like what you see, you got that subscribe button below. Hit the like, leave a comment. If you ever have a request, you want to tell them what you think, good, bad, or ugly, I don't know, because I got my poncho in case I want to go spaghetti western again. And above all else, spread this around. Anyone you think is going to like this, share it with them. I put this work in for a reason. Happy Easter, everyone.